Hello, everyone. For this week's podcast, Rob and I decided just to use and publish the recorded channeling message that we got from the guides today. The first reason for this is it actually saves us time because then we don't have to then do another recording to tell you what we got. The second thing is that we don't forget to tell you what we got. The third reason is you'll see how easy it is for us to connect with the guides, and therefore we can call it channeling, remembering that it's just literally a connection and a chat with guides. We would say it was telepathic. That's how the only way I can describe it. It's not about guides taking over our bodies or anything like that. Right, so for this week's podcast, I'll just tell you a little bit about what we got just to explain it a bit. And the reason for that is when you actually listen to the channeling messages, sometimes there's a little bit of a lull and you'll see us trying to interpret. So when you get a message telepathically, which is you'll see something, you'll hear the guide say something, and you'll almost experience it. It'll be like a first-hand experience of, oh, I'm there. I can actually see it, just as if it's a memory. And then you're interpreting it. So remember, the interpretation is from myself and from Rob, being human, having human experiences, having memories, having belief systems. What I want you to do is to interpret it yourself, is to not go in with a 3D mind. And that is actually one of the messages we got today about people still continuing to work in a limited with a limited mindset, that there is just the physical, that we're in this physical bubble. So it'd be lovely to see how you can interpret things from a soul perspective. Just go from a the neutral observer, which is almost like soul. If for those of you who already know a connection with soul and an observer from soul, you try it and see if you get any different interpretations to what we do. It's quite good fun, really. So the other message we got, apart from working, just continuously working in 3D and telling us to work away from that. I'll tell you what, one of those things we got was the cards. We did it. We just for fun, we got cards. I got addiction, and what this is to do with in this instance, when we started recording the messages, is we're addicted to the 3D, meaning we're addicted to that victimhood. We're addicted to that response of they've done that to me, or this is what's happening to me. And instead of knowing that we are the creators, we're the creators of our reality. So we're the creators of what's going on outside of us. We're creating what's going on outside, mirror image of what's happening within. So the big message of, the microcosm and the macrocosm is just the same, is working in the same way, as same frequency, or as within, so without, as above, so below, all of that. And then very nicely fitting in was Rob got a beautiful message, unexpected, early on this morning from the Elohim, or the Elohim, however you want to say it, about the earth. And this to me fits in with everything that we're seeking is already there. And we already know all this. All the messages we got, none of it was new. It was just a reminder. It was a confirmation. And it's a reminder because we're not actually we're not actually there yet. We're not actually doing the things that we keep saying about. So for instance, Ilham was giving the message to Rob about the Earth already has so much energy, an unlimited amount of energy that we can use. We can tap into the Earth's resources without having to tap into resources that will ultimately give up. And so, but we have to do that with certain technologies. To me, a lot of that technology will involve DNA and will be machinery, AI, equipment, all sorts of things, but a lot of it could be really related to DNA. That's what I'm always seeing. So I got the card here very, very nicely, Earth Connection. It just dropped out the pack. So that's what we wanted to be able to uh, talk about and get the messages on. And also, beautiful card here with activated Earth. All these cards just dropped out as we were talking about it, as about Earth. I think Rob got something like inner Earth and mid Earth, something like that, with some of his cards, all very ties in, all very synchronistic and ties in. And one of the other things we got regarding us not not expanding beyond our current abilities and as a global as a humanity rather than just some of the individual people is how we need to be in expressing ourselves as a soul with a human fractal. We are just a fractal of soul having an experience in all sorts of timelines. And that's what we need to be able to understand and represent and express ourselves, knowing that we are just more. We can move beyond just thinking in 3D. And there's one other thing I need to tell you is that I saw something in the future, in a future timeline. So remember that this is only one possibility. This is a future timeline in my world that I would see if I went down that timeline, if I did the work that I need to do as a star seed and the work that I need to do to help myself heal and others heal, that we would see this future. So just, so you can't put dates to it because it depends it depends whether we take action or be inactive. And we've got a choice on that, of course, in terms of what we choose, what we want to do. So yeah, definitely have a look, have a listen. I hope you're interested in this. We found it so fascinating to be able to work with the guides. And this is all we want for you as well. So yeah, have a connection with your guides. Look at what we do. Look at our interpretation. You might get a different interpretation. Work, so that you can get the data codes coming through to your soul from what we're saying, from the words that we've been um, given in the message and then how we're interpreting it. So, without further ado, let me just get on with it. I have had to edit the recording to take out a lot of the gaps that where myself and Rob are in silence, waiting for the guides, waiting for the messages, and then interpreting it. Here we go. Enjoy.
I can see now that the Earth polar shift is complete. If we'd been talking a couple of years ago, this tapping into cosmic energy would not have been as easy. Would have been possible, but less practical. Because now that the poles have shifted to their correct positions, we are sitting on this universal energy source and we are not allowing it to be used. People know.
Mm.
This is not a secret. Well, it's a secret amongst us on the planet, but there are people here who know and won't use it or are looking to use it for personal gain and for power. This has got something to do, this might seem odd, but it's got something to do with why America wants Greenland.
Mm.
Showing me a network of energy from the very north of Canada across Greenland, skipping Europe, but going right across the top of Russia and then dropping down into China and off into the sea. So what I'm being shown is a power access that is being formed by using energy that should be for everyone.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
It is actually being subverted for a few specific nations and people. And this agreement already exists, and the work already exists. which is why it seems odd that America is attacking Canada because it's already part of the energy is in Canada,
Mm.
and America needs to access that energy. So its way to access that energy is to get Greenland.
Ah. Mm.
And that then links them straight to Russia, avoiding Europe or the old order as they see it, and then down to China, and then it peters out as I see it. Very clear to see for me. It's a bit like when you are flying at night and you look down and you can see the lights of the
Mm.
country you're flying over. I can see this very
Nice.
clear linear going right across. Whatever this power is being used for currently, it is all hidden subterraneously. So I see this line of power being pulled down into the earth at numerous points where there are power centers where work is happening. And the work is essentially, as far as I can understand it, mineral extraction, but at a far, far lower place than we've ever been able to go before. So much,
Mm.
much deeper,
Yeah.
and immense wealth to be had from it. But it is, of course, wealth that should belong to all of us. So something is afoot with this. This is why there is such a weird turn in global relations.
Yes, that's what
There's,
it
there's
feels
a
like.
new link being laid, and codependency is being laid that really exclude what we used to call the old allies. And I see this linear of energy was due to go through China and down to Australia, but it has been stopped.
For me, I'm also seeing some kind of, let's call it connection
Mm-hmm.
to, let's say, to other planets where there's, as if it
Yeah,
was a laser beam coming down. So
yeah,
more, I couldn't get anything around Earth so much apart from the talk about proper freedom, real
right,
freedom, and essentially that everyone has a part to play in this, but of course,
yeah,
I, whether that'll happen because of choice and because of the awareness, people, let's say, not being awake, and also those that want it stopping, um, might not happen. But then immediately, more for me, I'm just being drawn up in a bit further up as if seeing it from a different point of view, but
yeah.
in
That's
connection
good.
with other, with the cosmos. I'm still getting things around mirror imaging, like
Okay.
as above, so below type of things
Yeah,
of,
absolutely.
almost like the a microcosm and macrocosm. So again, what's happening on the outside is still happening within us. Um, so the things that we think are going wrong, like the chaos stuff,
Yeah,
the things that feel like tragedies, I think is because we're still not clear in ourselves enough. Is that right? Let me just check on that. Does feel, yeah, more, yet we're not purging and clearing, and and the one of the easy ways is with the sound and light, with other
yeah,
ways of, rather than just going into, um rather than simply going into, let's say, previous lives to clear or whatever, whatever
yeah,
finding.
yeah. It's almost like taking a laser to our multiplicities
Yes.
and not doing the soft work that we've always been taught to do and we're able to
Yes.
manage and understood, that we now have to really, really focus more and more. Yeah, I'm just hearing it's time that we grew up.
Mhm. Yeah, we are just, yeah, we're kind of just living in this. The 3D is still this form, I mentioned the goldfish, but it's still a form of bubble, isn't
Yes,
it? It was still in this bubble of woe is me. So this is when say, for instance, observing at work, the small bubble of what happens within a workplace
yes,
is just looking so narrow, so narrow-minded. And everyone's playing the same game, everyone's joining in with that same game.
Yeah.
When in fact, if we expanded, so the card that we got, that expression card, if we expanded, I'm going to get, I'm getting from a soul point of view. So if we understood it from soul point of view, and this is going into the different, let's even call it dimensions,
Yeah.
soul point of view, other aspects of ourselves that are higher, um, we don't want to call it in a hierarchy, but understand more. We're not doing any of that. We're just living in we're living in the now moment, but in the sense of that kind of playground, as we said, like
Yeah.
being a bit of a playground, having to grow up. We've not grown up from the, well, Thomas said this to me, that said, they're saying
Mm.
that to me. It's still like that, isn't it? In that way.
Yeah.
And we're all playing that game. So when I go to work, I'm in the game, I'm in that simulation of the playground.
Yes. Yeah.
So how, yeah, so we grow up by embracing, understanding, let's say, soul, higher self, and all the aspects of us, the multidimensional self of us. And that's
Absolutely.
that's what I've
Yeah.
asked. That's why it feels like we do need to know the dimensions, because otherwise, not knowing means we're living in this bubble of a world that is so limited, it's so tight, not understanding that as soon as I change my thoughts, and as soon as everyone would change their thoughts, so in a workplace, for instance, going into a supermarket, for instance, many things that are just these small bubbles, they are quite a container of a frequency within themselves. And it almost that's what creates, it's almost showing me as if they're in a, well, maybe a spaceship or a pod or something,
Yeah.
that just within there at that moment in time with everybody coming together, there's a certain frequency that then creates that simulation,
Right.
instead of a simulation of an expansion. It can be in the same place, same people. uh, I'm going to say it wouldn't be the same equipment because we'd have everything set up.
Yeah.
That's just one example, is the workplace. It can be anything. It can be in a home life where everyone's doing the same thing. So that's when the card that brought in addictions, we're addicted to this woe is me. We're addicted to this being small and just thinking we're only human.
Yeah.
Instead of, well, once we have that awareness and understand soul from a completely different viewpoint. So it's not just this awakening, because a lot of us are awakening and then we're still doing the same thing. We
Yeah.
know a bit more, but we're doing the same thing. We're not, and then we're creating the resonance field of, I'm awakened to the false matrix, for instance, but I'm still
Yeah.
playing in it and still playing victim to it. So I'm
Yeah.
aware,
Awakened
but
souls are very easy to harvest.
yes, they even more so
Yeah.
than those that have the limitations, because awakened souls suddenly get more light. You start clearing yourself, get more
Yeah.
light, and then you forget to clear yourself. We've done this before. That's what I got this morning.
Yeah.
Is this again the continuation of needing to purge and clear in order to be discerning, in order to have and hold the light, in order to bring all those aspects of yourself to help to engage in the same power that Rob's talking about, is that power, because we'll be just a part of that power
Yeah.
as the and the as what you're saying about, and the tools, the advanced tools will be based on our DNA. So a bit like when I've seen spaceships and things, they're organic. So the what we would see as equipment is an extension of us. So it's
Yeah.
organic. So an extension of our DNA. So it would look like material. It would look a 3D form. It would look like aluminium. It would look like some kind of metal, but there's something around it that it's got a pulse, its own pulse to
Mm.
it, that's a reflection of my pulse, somebody else's pulse, who's creating that, and it would be they're coming together, the communication, the connection with everyone.
Yeah.
That's what they want to tell us about the way we are connected. If we said oneness, there's an individualness of us, so there is a separation, but it's not separated in the way we think it is. So we create separation by saying, they've done this to me, they've done that to me, and being the victim. There's a step up, up level from that of the
Yeah.
connection of there's somebody else, but they have data codes. How grateful am I? They've got data codes that I need to get, I need to have, because on Earth, there's many, many people who are other beings from other galaxies, for instance, other star
Yeah.
systems that are here to come together. So one place we can, and not one place, but it's one place that we would understand in this um, lifetime,
Yeah.
even more than that. The one that we have to understand, a bit like calling it an air school. We're understanding that this is a place to come to gather people together and yeah, to gather together to connect properly, connect our almost like the jigsaw puzzle piece, connect our DNA together to make it, to then manifest into the physical the things that will help us. That even manifest a house that would be, I can see a pulse, I can see the house
Hmm.
breathing, and it would be the perfect house. You would just think about it, and it would build. If you imagine this is the perfect house I want, and at the moment it manifests, but it's like manifesting, and you've got other people creating foundations,
Mm.
roofs, etc. So it manifests very well, but it has to unfold because you do need the help of others. Whereas the help of others in the, let's say, future version of ourselves, and we can soon, the sooner we understand this, the sooner we can bring it into this timeline and understand it, is you would have a few people helping you, but you'd build that house. It would like be from nothing. It feels like it's almost from nothing. I
Yeah.
don't quite know that, but they've just said the Earth's resources. It would build from the Earth's resources and manifest in that way. Just like you
Yeah.
could have a plot of land and all of a sudden what we would consider weeds would start growing. You could have what we'd say just a load of soil. You're
Yeah.
just creating the environment and hey presto, some kind of plants do without us having to plant it, but we've our imagination has gone, I wonder what it's like to have greenery on it or something like that. And
Yeah.
it's just
We're able
seeded
to
anyway.
project that. Yeah.
And we're projecting it and it's seeded. So it's part of that what we would call as oneness or part of that connection, um, if that makes sense at all, which would mean that everyone would have a house, everyone would have a roof over their head.
Yes.
I call it a house, but it'd be whatever somebody wants to call it, however they want to have it, because there's
Yeah.
the resources are not how we think they are at the moment. They're not the same as how we are as they are at the moment. Very
No,
much
indeed.
a
And this is the big jump, isn't it, as we change
mm,
frequency to
yeah,
realizing that we are all absolutely equal and we can all have exactly what we want. There don't have to be
yes.
the haves and the have-nots or the poor and the rich. We can
That
all have
that's the
whatever
thing.
we wish
Mm.
because the earth will provide.
And there will be some exchange. Once again, it could be money for a long time, just because it is whatever we choose it to be. So it could be money because it's just the energy exchange.
Yeah.
Money only exists in the construct of the earth, in let's call it if you want to say the false matrix, sometimes that's okay, as in it's not the organic side, but it's where there's a lot of things within this construct of a matrix that sometimes at the moment we have to have that to survive. And I don't mean money to survive, I mean the
Yeah.
construct of the matrix. If it fell apart, there's an area where we might just fall off. Where there's like it's keeping us all on earth. That kind of matrix. It's maybe not quite. It's a bit like putting a
Yeah.
plaster, sticking plaster on something, just to stop the flow of blood. So just to stop us all kind of spewing off off the land until because of us being in such a low density frequency, and because there are still many of us in the sort of even lower matrix side of the victimhood, because of that. Once we get out of that, some of that matrix can collapse as soon as it's only there because we're holding it. Humanity is holding it in place. Somebody's put it there for us, but humanity is holding it because of holding that lower dense frequency.
Yeah.
Frequency. I hope that makes sense. It kind of makes sense in my when you see it, doesn't it, Rob?
Yeah, no,
It makes
absolutely it makes
sense,
sense.
and I have to
It's a lot.
interpret it.
Yeah, it's a lot to take on board.
Yeah, you get in this, it's like how we work with, we see it, feel it, know it, you're
Yeah,
experiencing it, you're experiencing how it is in the future, how it looks like in the future. So like, oh
yeah,
wow, this is amazing, and it's doing this, and it's like all the houses are just pulsing. A car would
yeah,
pulse, it would literally, you wouldn't need a garage, you would have some kind of fob or something, and it would turn into a huge car. That's what I'm seeing. You don't need anything, any storage as such like that. It's
mm,
just the energy suddenly turns into some transport that would help you along. Very much like at the moment, the transport in an energetic, in a light body way, is a Merkaba.
yeah,
So
exactly.
something
So,
like that, but you would see it in a more physical way because you want to experience it in a more physical way. So it might not look like a Merkaba because it'd look like whatever you wanted it to, and it would get you from A to B, and
yeah,
you would fit the shopping in it or something like that, food in it. I don't know what, but that's the bits that I'm getting is that somehow this creation, this manifestation is, oh, just want to say so much more advanced, but for all the things I've been saying. And it literally is, the sooner we understand all this, the sooner we know it, and the
yeah,
sooner we continue, the sooner we come out of the victimhood. And I know I'm party to it as well because we get into a friend space, other spaces. I've just been talking to Rob about work. Yeah, and
yeah,
being an observer, but also being in the throes of, what might be going on in any work. We are still so much, let's say, the victim of that, of so much working in a three-dimensional way that's the only thing we, for many people, the only thing they understand is the three-dimensional, so the physical aspect of things. As soon as we understand the construct of more dimensions working together, do we need to really understand it that much? Yes, in the sense of it's bringing it through. So it can be in a way of you're passing on knowledge to understand it. Simply, you don't need to know the whole workings of it to feed and work into that dimension. It's like as if you're bringing through the other dimensions into you, into the three as well as 3D to work with. You're working with them. So a bit like driving a car, you don't need to know the workings, but you need to know that you need to put your hand on the steering wheel. You need to know if it's a manual car that you need to put the foot on the accelerator and a foot on the brake for it to do all the things, for it to be a wholeness with you.
yeah,
Even in this day and age, you and your car are one. That car is nothing without you. It doesn't go from A to B on its own. It needs you to do all the workings of it. And that actually is just the same as the matrix, just the same as work. Work needs you to feed in, whether that's good or whether you think it needs to be the bad.
yeah,
And that's up to you. That's up to you whether to think I need to put in, weave in all the bad things, and then you will only get the bad things back. It's all part of the mirroring effect, the ripple effect. What you think you'll get back. We've talked about that before, but they're just showing me that now. And that will keep us. That's great. If you want to do that, that's great. It will keep us here for longer. It will keep us in this construct matrix that's just holding us. It's almost like holding us in the spider's web. Again, we're looking at that where we're almost trapped in and we can't see our way out. We're not expressing ourselves as we should do. We're so addicted to being in the spider's web. That's all we know about. That's part of the conditioning of us. Go back and back and back to this till people understand it, is what the guides are saying.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
tell you again and again because you're not listening. You just, you know, even those people who are awake will say, you know, I'm awake, something's happened. I understand it a bit more now, but we're still not embodying it. We're still not actually doing the work and embracing it.
yeah. I'm
Even
getting
doing,
that we. Sorry, Julie. I'm
yes, okay, no,
okay. That we are not trusting the true nature of
mm,
energy,
yeah,
and so we negate it and we just fall back into our 3D selves. So we've
mm,
always spoken that money is energy.
yes,
So when you do something, when you work and you are paid in energy. We've
yes,
translated that into a bank transfer or a pile of paper
yes, the physical,
that
yes,
we measure, but
yeah,
we don't need to measure.
mm,
So that's just another limitation we're putting on ourselves. That the more and more we understand that we are energetic beings, that we start and that we work with our energy instead of just sitting there going, "Oh, I'm an energetic being." Fine, work with that energy, use the energy, get into your heart center, and work with energy from that point out, and understand how far your energy goes and what your potential is with the energy. So, as you're saying, manifesting a home, manifesting transport, whatever,
mm,
that's all an energetic transfer that is
mm,
available to us. And the energy that I'm seeing currently at the beginning of this conversation with ourselves and the guides, that linear from top of Canada right through to Russia and down into China, is the same energy. It's just being misused.
yeah, that's right.
But we all have access to that energy. There is only one energy. There's not multiple kinds of energy. It's just energy. And energy is frequency, and frequency is sound, and sound is light. It's all the same
Mm,
thing.
yeah.
So we need to stop separating.
Again, I'm seeing after that, Rob, I'm seeing like the microcosm part of it is
Yeah,
it's all the same energy. It's how we think about it, I suppose. I'm seeing it's how we use it. So if I'm using it to create the energy of victim,
yeah,
that's what I'll get back. So again, the mirror image. But if we're using it, expanding into like a soul level point of
yes,
view, just the human is just here to help the soul expand and understand its experience. And then the human forgets and think I'm just human and there's nothing else. We
mm,
almost forget our soul. So we need to be connecting, if you like, with soul. We are just that fractal of soul, always connected. We just forget. There's even more of a forgetting. We just choose to not think about it. People will say, "Oh, I've never been able to connect with soul. I can't do this. It's not for me," or I've wanted to connect, whether that's soul or guides all my life, not happening for me. You can see that woe is me kind of
yeah,
thing. And the guides are there with their arms folded, going, for goodness sake, stop that bubble, stop that being a 3D bubble. As soon as you expand that awareness and know more, things start to unfold in the energy first and then and that's what people forget, isn't it? That's why they need to know, let's say, other dimensions.
yeah,
It's working, let's say, from the top down. It's not really, but from the higher frequencies first. The other thing they want to say then, what we've said before time and time again, is people think that I need fixing. People want to solve a problem from the 3D, and that's where we get
yeah,
that's where we get the bubble forming and nothing else. So instead of just doing the step back, I'm just going to step back, going to ask soul, going to be my neutral self, however you want to do it. And from there, you will get, if you listen carefully, listen, sit in stillness, you don't even have to do it for very long. You'll get the answer. You'll get what the next step to the next movements along. you won't if you're angry and say, and I'm laughing, Rob, because I was like this yesterday. For goodness sake, guys, just tell me.
Yeah.
Look, for goodness sake, I've been asking about this. This isn't, and you can hear my ego going, this hasn't worked. Da da da
Yeah.
da. You can hear myself going faster and faster, and then I got a bump on my head, tried to clean something out. All of that thing happened because I was in my bubble, because I was in my 3D aspect. I'm just human. I've got my limitations. Nothing's working. Da da da.
Yeah.
And I'm laughing now because it's nothing like that today. So we all get it, and that's fine. That's not a judgment to do it, to be in that
No.
state. But don't do it all the time. When we what we call become awake, we should be should be awake to understanding the expansion of soul and why soul has chosen to have all this experience. That's the more, what we're
Yeah.
the lesson is, what am I learning? Why am I having this experience? And then I just need to come out of that. I just need to clear it and purge it.
Yeah. And where do you clear it and purge it? You go back to your heart space and you
Hmm.
clear it from the center out.
Hmm.
That's where all the dimensions are available to you.
Yeah.
You
Because
can
it can't,
witness.
yeah, we
Yeah.
can be holding on to it, can't we?
Yeah.
From, even in this cellular memory, even in the human
Yeah.
cellular memory, but it can be from other dimensions. Again, that's a bit like holding the steering wheel. You've got to be aware that some of the things that go wrong now are because we're just creating the cycle over and over again
Yeah.
and not listening to what's been happening.
Yeah. And it makes life a lot easier in this little corner of the world that we sit in, of our existence, if we understand that we are just a fractal of something far greater.
Mhm.
So the problems we experience in this little life on Earth are minuscule compared to the potential we have. And
Yeah,
we lose perspective because the 3D traps us.
yeah. That's why we say it's in a
Yeah.
bubble, because it's just
Yeah.
so tight. It feels just
Yeah.
so limited, tight to the potential. It's as if you are in this bubble, and then outside of that is soul, the journey that soul
Yeah.
is having. Well, it's not even a journey, it's just having these experiences all at once of you as your human, and then you as other aspects of yourself all at once. So it's seeing everything and having a whale of a time watching everything.
Yeah.
But we could do that as soul. We can see everything if we so choose to, chose to. And we're not, we're still in this bubble thinking everything's done to us.
Yeah. So the trick for us is to learn how to connect our 3D existence, which we chose,
Yeah.
with our multidimensional existence,
Mm.
which is everything that is potential, and not looking at them as two different things. It's like that, as I said earlier, with energy. It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
There's only one energy,
Yes.
and we all come from it. We all go back to it. We all exist in it. It's just there. It is. That's
Mm.
how we are. So we should not be dividing it.
Mm. Yeah, there's so much division created.
Mm. Which I'm guessing now is why I started this by being shown this new axis being created across the top of the planet, as it were.
Yeah.
It's about creating divisions that aren't actually real,
Yeah. Mm.
but can be created physically if you allow yourself to be manipulated.
Yeah, this is where we're going back into the cycle of creating a division that, let's
Yeah,
say, we'll look at the spiritual community. There's so many divisions being created there. Things
aren't there
things
just?
have gone in. Other communities, so many divisions. I've just had a friend talking about, a kind of animal sanctuary that they had that, you'd
Mm-hmm.
think an animal sanctuary, everybody would, just be so grateful to them that they're looking after animals that other
Mm.
people aren't. No, there's so much division between these sanctuaries and these kind of charities. There's so
Yeah,
much division in there that calling each other out.
yeah,
But the guide just reminded me again, the division comes from, once again, The division is within you. You're creating that division
Yeah.
internally, inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, how do you stop it? How do you change that division? By working through heart space, connecting with the cosmos, if you want to call it, connecting with the universe, connecting with your soul, connecting with your higher self, and then the guides that you need to, like our guides, for instance, the guides will come through, all helping you, like a team, helping you once you choose to go, I'm not liking what I see on the outside, so I'm going to
Mm.
change it on the inside. So we feel like we're going in circles with it, but it's okay because it's lots of cycles. Once
Yeah.
we do that and we're changing everything, then we'll all feel like we can be more ever connected with each other to help each other build these energetic houses, use the energy that Rob said in the first place, connect these energies together that's in the earth already. It is just very much a kind of where the energy is going, hello, I'm here. You're just
Mm.
using me all wrong.
Yeah. And important to say it's unlimited energy.
Yes,
So
that's the
nobody
thing.
can steal it and use it. It's
Yeah.
unlimited.
Yeah, it's just always there.
Yeah.
There's more of it. You just
Yeah.
use them and there's more
It's
there.
self-creating.
Yes. Just like humans are,
It's just like us.
but they
Exactly.
don't
Just like
realize we've
us.
got the bubble round
Yeah.
us, got this tight bubble. It's
Yeah.
so limiting, and we're not. We will be different humans, as I like to say, superhumans, when all of us, and that might be difficult. It might be difficult to have all, but I feel like a lot of us, like starseeds and healers, and those that want to help humanity raise consciousness, we want everybody to come with us. So we want to tell the world. We don't want this division. It's hard to watch sometimes as
Yeah.
a human in a bubble and creating our own divisions. So while and the only again the guides remind us the way to stop that is go within, do
Yeah.
all the work within.
Neutral.
Yeah, your mission as starseed healers, those who have that urge to help others, to help humanity. Step one, heal yourself first. Step two, heal your ancestry. That might not even be two different steps. As you
Sure.
heal yourself, you'll heal the DNA and the ancestry. It might just be that you have to bring in some of your loved ones, live or not live, or live as we understand it in humanity.
Yeah.
It might just be their souls all living. The souls are just living a much better life in that way, only because that's because of how we view things, how we view um, the way we're living. So it could
Yeah.
change in an instance. Rob and I, when we went with the guys last week, we talked about, Rob said about, say, a flock of birds and they change direction immediately. That could be the whole of humanity if we so choose to be like
Yeah.
that. We don't have to all be the same. It's not about being exactly the same. It's just about being in connection, in using the energy in a more positive, let's call it, for people to understand,
Yeah.
in a more wider expression of
Yeah.
ourselves for it to work and change if we wanted it, change that timeline
Yeah.
immediately.
I think it's a very useful visualization to sort of understand how you can work with your energy. And we talked last week about being agile with your energy, and that's still very much
Mm.
the case for me.
Yes,
It's getting
yes.
in there and using your energy to play a symphony, not three notes on a piano,
Mm, mm,
understanding the completeness of the energy and the scope of it and what it can achieve for you and for
mm. Yeah.
everything that is.
I mean, they're reminding me all of a sudden of, say, animals.
Yeah.
My pets, I had a problem yesterday. Pets, animals that we know, they also are a mirror image, a reflection on us.
Hmm.
And the analogy is, we all know when you see a dog trainer trying to train, and the human owner, as it were, will say, my dog's misbehaving, my dog is anxious, scared,
Yeah.
all these things. And the very first thing you'll notice is the dog trainer goes to the human and says, I need to train you first.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
the dog is taking
Yeah.
up the human, and that goes for all animals as well. It's almost like when we're when our energy is misaligned, is off, the pet's energy will be off. So we've got to watch things like that as well. That's
Yeah,
what we're here for. That's another mission for all of us, helping the animals again by healing us and not saying it's the animal's fault or the animal's doing this or even illness in this way, the animal's taking on yours
yeah,
without any blame. There's no judgment, blame here. It's just it's just the
yeah.
learning.
Because
It's
they
it's
are,
how we can learn.
yeah, these are born of the same energy.
Yeah, they come to you for a
Yeah,
reason. You know,
yeah.
you've
So,
chosen contract wise, soul wise. They've come to you via
yeah,
contract.
yeah, indeed they have. I think we should probably
Yeah,
thank those who have helped us.
yeah. I think that's the end of the cycle of
I
going
think
round and
so.
round in
Otherwise, we're
circles.
going to go round and round in
Yeah,
circles
we're
and
going to
go
have
off
the same
tangent.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think that
back in the room here.
we'll come to a close. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's just a very good example of
yeah,
us working with our guides and how we can call it channeling, but we're not necessarily having the guides take over. They just keep, it's as if they're just popping. For me, I don't know, like Rob, they're popping things
yeah.
into my head, just reminders into my head. And it's not from me.
No,
And
exactly.
I know it's not
Yeah.
from me. I was like, oh, no, I never thought of that.
But
Or, oh,
as
I'd
I don't
forgotten
know
about that.
how you find it, but as we are connecting and talking
Mm.
and sharing what they're sharing with us, a lot of it is just what we already know.
It is. Yeah,
And
absolutely
that
what we
allows
know.
us just to express what we know, and then the guides come back in
Yeah,
and redirect.
yeah, exactly. And it's what we already know, but we have to, the guys just, it feels like they just have to keep reminding us because
Yeah,
we know it all and we're not listening. And we go back to the kind of the addiction is we go back to the old
yeah,
ways. And that's the reminder is continue, whatever you see on the outside, just continue. Let's say being aware, being awake, that
yeah,
we need to expand. It's just all there for us to expand, not there for us to sit in that resonance and complain about it. That's the thing
absolutely.
that keeps us in the small bubble.
Yeah. And there
Okay,
is
so
nothing
that's the one.
special about your eye. Anyone can do this.
No, it's no,
Yeah,
yeah, they can come to any. Well, we're just opening it just as
yeah,
soon as you open your heart space, work within, do it. As you can see, we do. I was opening my eyes often. It's not like you have to
yeah,
sit in full meditation and have something take over. You can soon just when you get used to it, especially you can see Rob and I didn't even have to really work into it. I think it took us, you won't notice this, but it took us a few minutes just to
yeah,
get in. But that's all. That's all it did before
yeah.
we are then connect. Let's call it connecting. And being with all of us. I see my higher self, but I also see what I'd class as the external guides as well. And
It's
those external
yeah,
guides that need to will come through.
yeah. It's like dialing a number and waiting for someone to answer.
Exactly.
So there's a few
Yes.
minutes while the phone rings, and then someone picks up,
Yes,
and
yes,
off you
just to
go.
connect, just to
Yeah,
get that connection,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, on the internet, on Zoom, we just have to get that connection, wait for
yeah,
wait for to be able to speak and things like
yeah.
that.
And hope it
Exactly the
doesn't hang
same.
on you. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly the
yeah.
same, energetic wise. Yeah.
Good.
Okay, all right, we'll leave it at that for this week.